थैंक्स बाबा। क्या
Thank you for showing up.
किधर है तू?
नहीं मैं जा रहा। मैं लिटरली 1 मिनट देखा था तुम लोग को।
तू
1 मिनट रुक
प्लेन
जाओ।
जमीन पे कि हवे में?
अरे
What is
हवे में
happening?
एक्चुअली।
देख हम लोग
हवे
का
में
क्या हाई
हवे
लेवल
में
प्रोडक्शन पॉडकास्ट है। हमारा एक मेंबर
दिखा दो
फ्लाइट
एक
यदि
सेकंड
हवे
रुक।
में तो वहां से आता है।
Amazing.
High
Oh,
production
Khere.
Oh
podcast.
God, you're ruining the vibe.
He's waking it
वाह
up, waking everybody up.
या
The guy's going up. Wow.
वाह। अभी कुछ इधर एलियन वेलियन आ जाए तो तेरा कंट्रीब्यूशन अच्छा हो जाता है ये घोस्ट स्टोरीज पॉडकास्ट पे।
हाँ
फिलहाल तू
अरे
शो
ब्रो
ऑफ करने आया है कि तू बिजनेस क्लास में उड़ रहा है साले।
नहीं नहीं मैं आया क्योंकि मेरे को लगा तुम लोग ने स्टार्ट नहीं किया था। एंड आई वाज राइट टिल यू डिसाइडेड टू मेक इट द फुल टोकन।
Yeah. Where
थैंक्स
are
फॉर
you
कमिंग
going,
फॉर द
Neville?
कोल्ड
सॉरी
ओपन।
आई एम गोइंग टू
You've
अमेरिका, बट आई एम गोइंग टू
forgotten where
सैन
you're going.
फ्रांसिस्को।
Oh,
या समटाइम्स इट हैपेंस। कौतुक पिछला वाला एपिसोड भेज देना लिंक। मेरे को एडिट करना पड़ेगा।
Editing on the flight.
I have a good podcast. No, no, now I can't download that much data. I don't have.
Baba, we're
तू
going to
फर्स्ट
send
क्लास
this.
चले जाना।
You know,
This next podcast is going to come to you, the one that we're recording with Jose, and it's a full horror podcast. So, best of luck editing that.
dude,
या
it'll be
हाउ डू यू
If you
एडिट द
amazing.
don't give
हॉरर
me
पॉडकास्ट?
notes, if you don't give me notes, I just won't cut. I'll put the faces and send it out.
There is only one note, and that is be afraid. Be very afraid. That's
Oh, very
You know,
nice.
it'll be amazing
Okay.
when we call up Baba and be like, Baba, that cold open that was amazing. Thanks for doing that from the flight, etc. And he's like, bro, what flight?
what cold open.
Ah.
बाबा तेरे पीछे देख, बाबा तेरे पीछे देख, बाबा
Bro,
Hostess, hostess.
अबे दिखा मत।
कौन है?
चल बाय।
Chal.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye, bro. Have a
Enjoy,
good flight.
enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Internet Set. So, a show where we take random incident, weird or facts, set even personal stories, and we talk about it. And welcome to the most requested person
Yeah,
on this fucking podcast, bro.
Who's that?
Neville Shah.
It's
No
Neville
one
Shah.
is taking time codes, so please take time codes. Bye.
Oh, he's
Take
still
time
there.
codes. I don't see
It's his
anybody
voice
right.
of God from 40,000
That's the part of the horror feel. Like, get your work done,
Yeah.
guys. Make sure.
Baba,
sure
read
he's
the
ready.
room. Come at the right moment to scare, na?
वो
Randomly.
चला गया अभी. अच्छा अभी चला
But
गया.
Thakur, don't
He's
worry, I
gone, he's gone.
reported him.
Ah.
Yeah.
So, Jose, by the way, we have to tell you that. Oh, fucking hell. ये क्या है?
Yes, Varun.
Oh,
I
Oh, wow.
see your future.
Oh.
You're going to do a podcast with some guy.
wait, so is it not this
Yes.
one?
This is actually a dandruff issue been going through.
कैसा है भाई? Welcome firstly.
बहुत
Thank you
अच्छा.
for coming.
Listen, congrats on 5 years of TISS, bros.
Brah.
Yes.
Sure.
Amazing.
No
You know,
one
thank
calls
you.
it TIS. We've never
Thank you.
called it TISS.
This is reminding me of how Adar's dad used to do a show called Gandu Nights. But Adar's
Let me put
dad
my glasses on.
would call it G and U Nights. Hey, your G and U Nights.
This reminds me, I went for some like a gaming expo or whatever, met some young people over there, and they were all part of this team. They were playing Valorant together. So we were all getting a picture together, and I said, "Oh, you guys are part of some kind of LAN team." And one of them looked at me and went, "LAN team? Yeah." I was like, why?
God.
Why I'm leaving? And then I realized they don't know what LAN cables are. They've never,
my
Yeah,
God.
I'm not
they're like all
surprised.
wireless.
Dude, I saw a tweet just today where this guy was like, I used to help my parents with their computers. Now I help
Oh,
my
I saw
kids
that
with their
one. Yeah, yeah.
computers. Like, are we the only generation who knows
That
how
knows how to
computers
fix
work?
computers. Yeah, I saw that. Crazy. Congrats on 5 years. We celebrate 5
Thank
years
you.
of not doing stuff together, like on our side. So yeah, it's nice to see a parallel universe, like of
But
things
Jose,
happening. That's nice.
sorry, every time we call you on the podcast, we make you do this ghost stories because there's something about this episode that every time
Yeah.
it comes out, literally 50%, if not more, of the comments are, we need Jose on this. We need Jose on this. We need Jose on
And I've repeatedly said I don't believe in any of these things. I don't want to be part of it. They're forcing me. I don't know what to do. This is crazy. This guy, stop it. Stop doing this to my friends, please.
No, but thank you for coming. क्या चल रहा है क्या आजकल, bro? What have you been up to apart from judging not LAN gaming competition?
Oh, I thought it's just judging people in general.
Just enjoying myself, making idiotic short videos, and then go 2 ghost story streams in a week. I feel like this is a bit unhealthy for me now, and this
Oh
is
shit,
it.
you
You
did
guys
one
are
award? You did one this week?
अपना खुद का जो कोई नहीं
अरे
देखता
हाँ
वो भी
चल
मैं किया, and now this. So thank you guys.
अच्छा, अभी उधर जो भी स्टोरी सुना तो इधर बता अभी.
Double the suffering.
Ah,
और वो लोग कहीं और सुन के अब मेरे को बताते stories.
yeah.
Dude, I think there is 17 stories that are going across 15 podcasts, ठीक है?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
it
yeah.
just gets regurgitated. Somebody adds the Hindi name, they'll change it around, do it in a different language.
Yeah. Say my dadi ma, the other say my no, my mom, she this years. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
bro, you are same. Very interesting.
But any paranormal experiences or what in the recent past for you, Jose?
Um,
Other than Cyril.
I
Other than-
appreciate Cyril, I appreciate that you let out a laugh after that, because you know how I am. I am scared of the dark, but मैं नहीं believe करता ये सब में. मैं नहीं believe करता ये सब में. It's all in the mind. It's all playing tricks on us, but nothing paranormal, fortunately. Bro, if I had a serious paranormal experience, I would not visit any more podcasts or talk to
Yeah.
anyone in life in general. I don't know how people say, उधर वो रूम में मत आ, वो सब खून निकला रहता है वो दरवाजे से, और वो
First of
वॉचमैन को
all, I
फीवर
would
हो गया.
contact my landlord if that is happening.
Yeah,
Sir,
I would
आपका
not.
लीक पानी लीक हो
Yeah,
रहा है. नहीं खून निकल रहा है दीवार से. There is a problem.
सर
I would be
आपने
done with public life.
आपने दीवार में लाम भी भरा है कि आदमी की खून क्यों निकल
अरे वो मोटर है
लंबी की
मोटर.
लंबा.
लंबी आदमी था वो अंदर.
But bro, tell me one
Bro.
thing. I had this really interesting experience. My very close friend Omna and Yash, okay, their son, he is now 4, okay, and he has gotten this weird fascination across the last 1 year. He loves listening to monster stories. Usually, like
Oh.
if you tell him a story about, oh, this is superhero, he'll like, no, fuck that. Tell me about that monster wala story. So I remember like me, Nikita, both his parents, we were just sitting there and just improvising and coming up with a horror story. Does your daughter do that? Like, is she
Bro,
scared
first
of
I want to
ghost
say
stories?
this is great, because we are looking for someone to replace me on my podcast. So this is great. But yeah, man, kids do weird shit like that, saying, bro, this one night my daughter scared the shit out of me. My wife was out of town. She was living with the in-laws. No, we didn't fight or anything. She was visiting the in-laws.
I like that
And
disclaimer.
yeah, just in case you're like, iska
She
jagah
just
hai
missed
beta."
her parents, guys. That's all.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can do that
exactly.
even after getting married.
Jose, that disclaimer cost us 15 comments. There would have been
Yeah.
15 comments. Why is his wife?
Sorry.
क्या
What
यार, तू
happened?
engage?
Shit.
हम लोग के
Is
engagement
Jose
को खराब
okay?
कर रहे हैं.
Even though I knew that I made a mistake, sorry. We were fighting. Things are not good. No.
Comments.
So my daughter was like, I'm missing mama, you this that. And I said, look, it's just going to be a couple of days. And we went through the motions and everything was fine after a little while. And the second night, my daughter woke up at 3 in the morning and she started pointing at the corner of the room saying, Mama's over there. Mama's over there. Mama's over there. So at first glance, I was like, is she come home? What the hell? Who opened the door? I looked and there's nothing over there. And my daughter was like half asleep, half awake. And she just kept saying, Mama's over there. Why is she not coming here? I said,
God.
"Baap re, chalo nikalte idhar se."
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So what did you want to just pick her up and run?
No, I
No,
waited
for-
for the fight or flight to subside. And then I said, okay, let's keep some lights on. There's no way.
There's no
And then
mama
you
here.
said
no
sorry
way.
in that corner so that your wife comes back.
In case,
In-laws.
just in case, or the entity that lives in that corner is okay with me.
Dude, it
Bro,
would
the
have been
kids
hilarious.
do weird stuff like that. Yeah.
I
It would have
once
been.
I was sleeping and so the thing is my wife sleeps way before I do, like 4 hours before I do. So now there was a period when, she had hair extensions. Okay, so sometimes she comes back, she's very tired, she just removes them very quickly and goes to sleep. So sometimes they have... Now, I was shooting some video that night in the back room and bedroom वो side पे. Back room थोड़ा अंधेरा रहता है, but like window खुला रहता है तो moonlight comes in from there. So one day she was so tired from work, she came in, she took off her hair extension, and my tripod was for me standing.
Oh my
So
God.
she just put
I
it on
can
the
already see it.
tripod and went to sleep. Now I
Holy
am walking
shit.
around, I am eating food, I am watching YouTube videos, and then I just pass the corridor and I see her standing there. I thought, oh, she's still awake. So I call her, okay, you want to eat something? You're awake. Then I turn back and there's no answer. And I just see this tripod with hair hanging there.
Bro, it's so weird. मेरे साथ same हुआ. I
Damn
went to
creepy.
my friend's house, okay, and the other loo was occupied. So she said, "You use my bedroom का loo." I said, "Cool." So अंदर गया था. I couldn't find the switches to the light, but I could see the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom. सुसु करके आया बाहर. Suddenly I've come. I've seen somebody who is probably 4 feet, just there, two. And I've gotten scared thinking, what the fuck shit? And dude, I'm like, sorry, I didn't know you were here. Who's this? Nobody's responding. Bro, I've taken my phone out, torch mara hai maine. She's a hairstylist. So they have
He's
like
kept her stuff there.
and
Oh
then on that,
no!
she practices and all of that. And she had kept it in her room. Dude, I've gotten so scared. And
Oh
it's not
shit.
even अभी tripod तो सीधा डंडी है ना, ये तो face है किसी का, bro.
हाँ,
And it's
dude.
not
There
a,
is.
I mean, it's so human-like, and you can just see little silhouette क्योंकि थोड़ा light का reflection आ रहा है, and they are like 3.5, 4 feet के length पे. I was fucking, भाई ये
Dude,
बहुत
the thing that Jose was talking about, no, the kids, the creepy things that kids say, and the thing is they say it because they are not fully acquainted with
Yeah,
reality
yeah.
yet, right? So like, so very difficult to tell, like they can't tell between like their
हाँ,
imagination
but
and reality.
तुम्हारा imagination cultivate करने के लिए मेरा lose motion क्यों है?
So
Correct.
so
Unfair.
a friend of mine, what had happened was that they had basically like adopted a cat. Adopted in the sense that this cat was a stray cat that had just come out, and it was raining that day, and it had come and sat in front of them, and it was just such a bichara looking cat. They were like, okay, we're going to take this cat home, right? And they were really looking forward to this because they have a 4-year-old son, and they were like, oh my god, it's going to be a pet for our kid. So they take this cat home, and they give this cat a name, etc., and they're taking care of it. But this cat is in a very bad way. Okay, it's very sickly, and like they take it to the vet. The vet tells them that it's got this disease. Okay, that a lot of these stray cats get, and the fatality rate of the disease is very high. Okay, so they spend like 2 weeks nursing this cat to health. Okay, they try everything. It gets a little better, and then it gets like dramatically worse, and then the cat passes away. Right, and they take the dead body of the cat and they bury it in one place in near the house. A few days later, and they explain it to their son, okay, this is what's happened, etc. And the cat has gone to a better place. And then a few days later, this kid goes just out of the blue. He goes, Mom, I can still hear the cat. It's meowing. I can hear it.
Oh
It's on the hill.
oh
It's
no.
meowing.
हेलो, ये बच्चे का एक्सचेंज हो सकता है? कुछ दूसरा वाला बच्चा मिल सकता है जो ये
बच्चा
सब
छोड़,
नहीं।
हमको बिल्ली चाहिए, हमको 2 बिल्ली चाहिए.
Bro, I had felt that after we had to give one of our dogs away. This is when I was back in the day, like almost 20 odd years ago. And
वो
later,
बोलता था उसको बच्चा सुनाई दे रहा है.
नहीं नहीं, we had given the dog away. Then we had gone to meet him after like 3 months after we had given him away, and
हाँ.
he sort of recognized us. He was there. He was out for his walk. Once he came back,
Oh,
he went nuts,
हाँ.
right? And the new owners just realized that, "Ek, but what have we done? Because this dog is going to completely want to just come back to us because that's where his real heart lies. He is now adapting to a new family, right? So obviously we couldn't do it. We realized our mistake. थोड़ा time chill करके हम लोग निकल गए. Then for 2 days, that dog didn't eat.
Oh
He used
no.
to just walk around that saying this, whatever. And then we said,
Oh, poor chap.
after this, we'll never do this again. This was really wrong on our part. You should never do that. And we just said it. Now we won't even go close by and try to see from afar, none of that. And few years later, we found out that he died. He died crossing the road, met with a car accident.
No.
So weirdly enough, that night I sort of almost felt that he was there, even though because maybe I was thinking about him so much, and there has to be a specific way in which he would come to the bed, or a way in which he would come and try to wake you up that he wants to go pee, open the door. Like I could almost feel it that night. And it was weird because it wasn't there. He wasn't there, obviously. And when you're feeling it also, that it's not actually happening, but the feeling is so real that you sort of get into this middle space of was I
Could
really
it be?
doing it, or you don't know वैसे. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
happens. I think after anything you love passes away, there's my mom. After my Masi passed away, my mom could see my Masi everywhere.
Yeah.
She could see her everywhere. Everywhere. She had to move. She moved. She took a transfer from Bombay to Pune. Went there. She said, I could see her there. I could hear her.
Dude, this
Hmm.
thing now that you're talking about, the dog thing, I've had one experience. I don't know if I've spoken about this on the podcast, but worth repeating at this point. It's like I'm sure there's a reason, like there's some kind of like coincidence type thing in the story, but it just like it's one of those things that I can't really place properly. So this happened to Siddhi and I. Okay, so there used to be a dog where Siddhi used to live, a stray dog that we used to like every time I would drop her home. We'd be below her house and we'd be chit chatting, and this dog would always be there, right? Very friendly, playful stray dog. Those stray dogs who like love people and are just the neighborhood dogs, and they just like they're very excited to see you all the time. It's one of those. So we would always play with it and stuff like that while we used to chat. And we really loved this dog. And then suddenly, like about 2-3 years later, this dog disappears from this locality. Okay, we don't see it, right? Like a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and this dog is nowhere to be seen. Now, a while later, like we didn't know what happened. A while later, like I would say about 3-4 weeks later, we're walking around Juhu, okay,
Hmm.
and like pretty far away from where she lives. We're walking in this gully, and suddenly this dog comes running at us, right? And
Oh, shit.
it's the same dog, right? And she's in a bad way, like meaning basically her fur is all matted. She's got like dried leaves and stuff on her body. It's like she's in some terrible state, but she still got that same spark. So she's like jumping and trying to play with us and stuff like that, but she looks off. So we play with her and we're like, oh, you've moved here, how nice. Like, okay, so we found you at least. This happens. And then a few weeks after that, Siddhi was talking to one of the watchmen, and he tells her that this dog, like she was inquiring, like, has this dog come back? And the guy says, no, that dog passed away like 3-4 weeks back.
Oh, shit.
So, like, it could totally be similar looking dog who we met in different gully, or it could be
No, and also it's
ghost
it's
dog.
it's mind over thing, right? Your mind is so
Yeah.
fucking powerful. If there's something you are constantly thinking about, it's in your periphery all the time. It doesn't take long for you to suddenly just
Yeah,
sort of
yeah. See the
manifest it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this
Wish
so many times has
fulfillment,
happened
right?
that night. Your eyes suddenly open sometimes. Nothing woke you up, but just while you were moving, somehow तेरा आँख थोड़ा ऐसा हल्का खुल गया,
Hmm.
right? And at that, the minute it opened for a second, from where I sleep on my bed, diagonally opposite is the bathroom door. Behind me is a window from where sometimes light falls in. And I have seen a person standing there now 100 times.
What the hell?
Yeah, but I know it's not
in
a
your
person
mind.
standing there. But I've seen like almost they say it feels like a silhouette. So for that brief second, you're like somebody's there, but it's not, and then you move
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
मैंने ये रात को कभी होते हुए नहीं देखा, दिन में ऐसे रात को ऐसे चिल कर रहा हूँ, बट व्हेन यूर इन द मिडल ऑफ योर स्लीप थोड़ा हल्का खुल गया, आई सॉ दैट, एक सेकंड के लिए सडनली आई फेल्ट लाइक शिट
Yeah.
व्हाट, देन सडनली माय माइंड से अबे चूतिया तूने 100 बार देखा है, पहले सो जा, अरे फक कुछ नहीं, सो गया वैसे,
Yeah,
बट
yeah,
लाइक
yeah.
तेरे दिमाग में तो आ जाता है भाई.
I really
This
enjoyed
kind of
Jose's reaction to it. He was just like, "Oh, this
no,
podcast is going
because this kind of happened to me when I just shifted over here. It's been a couple of months now,
Hmm.
and after shifting over here, okay, my wife and kid decide to go to visit the grandparents the moment we shift. Now, and I don't believe any of this shit, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, now, okay, I'm gonna spend a month alone in this house that I've never been in
Oh.
before, and now we spent
Why your
almost.
eyes just say what the
What
fuck?
do you
It's
mean?
amazing. What
What are
what
you
what
talking
Oh, he's
about?
scared.
Your eyes keep flashing.
what are you talking about?
Oh, अच्छा.
The filter's on. Sorry, I'll just switch that out to something better. Yeah. No, no.
Huh.
So these guys they leave, and I'm here for a month. And now in the back of my head, now after literally years of listening to people tell us all these ghost stories, that shit seeps in a little bit. You start thinking about all those little examples and stuff. So 1 month now, I'm prepared to live over here, and I've now actually shifted right across from where my mom lives. Okay, and now I'm remembering the ghost stories my mom used to tell me about how there's a graveyard close by and this building was built on a grave and all this shit. Okay,
Yeah.
still I don't believe anything, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, in a way, this is good because I'll get to test the house. This is imagine a person who does not believe is having these thoughts. Okay, I'll get to test the house to see if there is actually a ghost here.
हाँ.
Okay, so they've gone, and now every night all the lights are on because I don't want to sit in the dark house. I go over to the bedroom over there, okay, just to get something. And as I open the door, I see someone standing right behind me. So in that, just like what you were talking about, just in that moment, I said, "Oh, fuck, what?" I closed the door quickly because I was like, maybe if I close the door, they won't be standing next to me
Yeah.
anymore. Then I opened the door again, and then I didn't see anything. So I said, shit, am I tired? What's going on? This was like, so now I'm like, okay, I shouldn't tell my wife anything about this because it's done. Then there'll be too much of discussion around this shit. So next day, now for the next couple of days, I'm opening that door to see. आ गया क्या फिर से? Or it's almost like a parody, like because I know it's not real, but I also don't have an explanation. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? Open the door, next day, kuch nahi. Then on one night, I opened the door, and again, this person who looked just like me was standing behind me. There's this sheen on the door. Okay, it's a wooden door, it's a bit of a sheen, and there was a light coming from here through that corridor. Okay, and it was my shadow. But the conditions for that to be created were so specific that if I open the door a little more, you wouldn't see it. Open the door a little less, you wouldn't see it. If the light was off, you wouldn't see it. And then I was like, but at the same time, I was still, even though I explained it to myself and I figured out what it was, I was still a bit like, okay, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm here alone. It's all good. But then, like you said, you tell yourself, hey, you've seen this so many times. It's just the way light works, son.
Yeah,
And
it's
then I
science.
made
Go to
yeah, yeah.
sleep. It's science.
But very creepy when it happens,
Science तेरे
bro.
को बचाने नहीं आएगा if there is a skeleton coming behind you.
Really. And science can't
Skeleton.
save you from your
You
own
can,
thoughts
if there's
also.
like a bhoot coming from the back, there's no science will help.
Dude, there's this
Mad
very
shit.
interesting phenomena. It's called the third man phenomena. So
Yeah, it's when you take the worst fielder in your team and you put him close to the boundary and the ball goes.
that's the primary one. The second type of third man phenomena is this thing that happens. It's a very odd thing, but it happens to people who are in extreme survival situations. So mountain climbers, people who are out in the wilderness for whatever reason. So people who are doing something extremely strenuous, who are alone, isolated. So what they experience, like this happens a lot with mountain climbers as they're going up these mountains, and it's extremely isolating, extremely desolate. There's no one around. They'll suddenly feel the presence of another person
Shit.
who's with them. And there was this one British hiker who experienced this phenomena so vividly that at one point he stopped hiking, sat down, opened up his pack, took out a plum cake, broke it in half, and tried to offer it to this phantom who was seemingly walking beside him. Right now, the thing is that scientists have these cases are so well documented and so many that they've actually looked into it and been like, what is going on here? And one of the reasons that people say that this happens, and obviously all theory, but one of the reasons is that in these situations, your mind kind of realizes that you need,
Someone, yeah.
yes, you need
Company.
social,
Hmm.
like a social
Oh, shit.
phenomena would help you. So it literally creates another person for you to
Oh
sort of egg you on.
shit.
No, they've made a fantastic movie around the same thing. I think I spoke about it, but I'll repeat it again. It's when there are two friends. They used to both be climbers. One of them has stopped climbing now and hasn't for a year. Okay, but there was this one specific tower that's really high that they were going to climb. So a friend
Huh.
comes back and she's
Fall.
like, "Listen, why?" It's called The Fall, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Bro, that
Something.
film really made me sick.
But
What a
those
mind
two
fuck.
girls, they reach the top and then
What a mind job this film was, bro.
so well done, and it is basis this just this third man phenomena is a part of
Oh,
it,
is
but
it
it's
a... Oh, I didn't realize that. I guess I was
Yeah.
covering my eyes so much that I was like, bro, I really like it. Gave me that weird feeling in my stomach watching that. It's like literally everyone's worst nightmare.
The lengths that they would go to get cell phone signal, which is very similar to a lot of problems we are facing.
yeah.
With Wi-Fi.
यहाँ तक अभी तक वोडाफोन नहीं है.
वही होना चाहिए था. Movie should have been called Vodafone.
I
But
was
by
very
the way,
stressed out after watching that film, The
you're
Fall.
speaking
Terrible.
about this creepy stuff. Did you all watch episode 4 of Penguin?
Oh, I've not started on that show. I
Please,
believe it's
have
really
not
good.
started.
Firstly, watch the show. Incredible. But
So I start with episode 4, you're saying?
no, Chut, are you fucking mad? Why would you what? Did you did you start Game of
So then he
Thrones?
gets sold on it.
What?
I started Game of Thrones from season 3 because I was like,
Watch the end
I've
first.
actually not seen the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones.
You're watching it like a childhood. Ooh, dragons. Ooh, monster.
Same
Ooh,
time, yeah.
boobies. Anyway, so by the way, watch it. I don't know what my chain of thought was, but superb episode about it's because it focuses on Arkham. So you know what to
Okay.
expect, and the way they shot it really gives you the creeps.
Listen, but that's not in the realm of supernatural and all that stuff. No, it's I mean,
But
other than
it's still
Batman wearing
Asylum,
that.
na? It's still Arkham Asylum, so it's like
Still
this
Asylum,
So that
weird,
creepy
eerie.
creepy thriller
vibe,
sort
yeah.
of.
Yeah, it's not supernatural, but it just gives you like the heebie-jeebies watching it the way they.
I've
I
talked about
hate-
this. Sorry, go ahead.
What?
No,
I hate
sir, you,
movies.
sir.
I hate movies where there's a group of whatever 20-something-year-olds
Yeah,
who
and there's
decide,
something
hey, this
hiding.
asylum is here. Let's walk into this asylum.
Yeah.
And why? At no point in my 20s, I would be like, all my friends would be, nope, just walk
Yeah.
away.
No, come
Seriously.
on. That is the most primal कीड़ा of human beings. मैं मेरे स्कूल में एक थोड़ी गली जाती थी जहां पर एक डाइलैपिडेटेड घर था, तो स्कूल में रूमर चला है कि वहां पर एक भूत विच रहती है, डायन रहती है, तो हम लोग ये सेकंड थर्ड स्टैंडर्ड से सुनते जा रहे हैं. तो फाइनली जब भी 10th में वी आर गोइंग टू पास आउट एंड लीव स्कूल, वी लाइक फक ब्रो, वी हर्ड दिस फॉर फकिंग 8 years, नेवर
तो
बीन
पास आउट होने
देयर.
के पहले लेट्स एक्चुअली पास आउट.
हाँ, तो एक बार जाते हैं ना, क्योंकि who's
These are
coming
the
back
kids who are
now?
not interested in studies. I knew it.
हाँ.
No, I didn't study.
जाते वो
अरे, I
These are
got
cool kids.
85%.
Jose.
No
Hello.
wonder you did a show called the Haveli because
Shaitan.
you want to see these ghosts. You are evil, sir. अरे
I
इधर हम
want.
लोग लाइट ऑन रखते पूरा घर में. कौन जाएगा उधर फॉरेस्ट में मेरे को देखने का?
मेरे को चाहिए थोड़ा एक पैरानॉर्मल एक्सपीरियंस हो, क्योंकि मैं नहीं बिलीव करता और नहीं होता है, बट मेरे को चाहिए कि हो.
He's that
Varun is
friend.
he's
that
the friend who
will
gets
keep
everybody
saying,
killed.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, hey, Varun
क्या
बोला वो
guys?
टनल में
This
जाने
is
का.
not
चल
real.
चल.
This is not. This is science.
Strangled.
And the
No,
next
but
thing he's just pulled out in the dark. This is all science.
वरुण का मरा हुआ 15 साल हुआ है.
I'm not scared of the bhutni I would have seen in that house. I was scared of the insects. मेरा डर अलग ही लेवल, अलग साइड पे चल.
Listen,
supernatural,
a
paranormal
ghost spider is your worst fear. A ghost spider.
No, a spider, not a ghost. It doesn't need to be a ghost. Just spider, just
Listen, but Shaitan Haveli was so good. I mean, I would give anything to see a season 2. Let's use this as
please,
our opportunity to
please
manifest.
tell Amazon. Please
It
tell
was
Amazon.
really great. That was really it
Thank you,
killed
bro.
it got that vibe exactly right to be on that thin line of parody versus
Yeah.
also giving you the spookiness. I loved it, man. It was damn good, damn good.
Because इधर है ना अपने हॉरर कॉन्नोसियर है ना
Yeah,
कौतुक
हाँ.
मैं चिराग महाबल मजा आया था
yeah.
It was
anyway
damn good.
Dude,
but
in that show, so Shaitan Haveli, the villain, is actually one of the main guys in that other movie, Ghoul. So I saw Shaitan Haveli and then I watched Ghoul. And I could not watch Ghoul seriously because that I keep
Because the
thinking of the
same guy.
stupidity that guy. So that guy is not menacing at all. And then wasted like this 7 minutes spent on making that guy menacing. I'm like, I
Very
am
funny.
not taking this guy seriously.
Very funny.
But so much of horror genuinely rests on the physicality of the performers.
yeah
You know,
for sure
just
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
they like they look
Sometimes
and
even a premise is enough. Like I've spoken about this a couple of times now. That's how obsessed I am. I've just finished the third season again on Prime brand deals. Bejo. But no. But seriously, I don't know if you guys have watched. It's from the makers of Lost. It's called
Hmm.
From. Have you seen this?
oh no.
no
So I was immediately skeptical because I was like, ये हराम खोरों ने हमारा कितने साल waste किया.
lost
Lost का
bro
वो. For me, that last episode does not exist. It should not
buddy
exist.
for no
Hmm.
lost fan because you were a fan and you continued and you stayed with
Yeah,
it you're like come on and you
we
gave
gave
me
them our souls, and
Guys,
this is what they
guys,
gave us.
it was called Lost for all the time.
Yeah.
You lost.
Yeah,
It's just, then the title finally rolls. It's just lost time.
time.
That is the real horror of the show.
So the same guys apparently have made the show called From. Okay, the
okay
premise is that a bunch of people, they end up driving, and then a tree shows up in the middle of the road, and they try to go around the tree, and every time they go around, they end up on the same road again and
hey
again
bro
and
I know
again.
this I've seen this
Have
I've
you
seen
seen
this
this?
wait
It's
yes
so. This is the
They did
premise for
3 seasons of this.
They did 3 seasons and 3 seasons, and not just
It's
this.
just going around a tree.
It's like, bro, we've been around the Bandra complex 5 times now. No. So they end up in a village where
Ah.
people are living over there, and when the people sort of see them going around and around, they keep passing through this village again and again because they're going around and around circles. The people of the village come out and say, please, you guys got to come inside now. If it starts getting dark, you're all gonna die. Now
Oh,
imagine
fuck.
you go to a village and these people tell you that you think it's a scam. You know what I mean? Like how people throw eggs and
Ah.
all. "Arey, arey, idhar aao." So they tell them you're all gonna die if you don't come inside. And the sheriff of the town says, if you have a window or if you have kids in your house, your windows have to be closed, your kids have to be kept away, and nobody speaks to anyone who is outside of the house. Okay, then cut to one scene. I'm just going to give you whatever is like trailer worthy and without any spoilers. They cut to this little kid. The mom is in the other room. She's doing something. She's a little busy as usual. Kid decides to go to the window, and the kid moves the curtain to the side, and she sees an old lady outside the window. And the grandmother says, "Hello, little one." The queen, "Hello, little one. Would you please let me inside? It's so cold outside. And what are you guys doing?" And the kid says, "Yeah, of course, grandma. 1 second." And the kid reaches out and just about opens this thing, and the mom comes and says, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" But by this point, the kid has opened the door, and this thing, whatever it is, comes inside the house. And I cannot tell you more of what goes on, but the show is done so well.
Ooh.
bro I've
So
watched
well.
the first 2 episodes of this now that's why I know I've not watched the 3 seasons
Bro,
but
you must
I
continue.
remember
It is bonkers. I'm on season 3 and I still have no idea what's happening.
Wow.
This is the creators of Lost, as we keep in
So
mind.
it's lost from where?
From you will be lost from what is going
From
on in the world.
reality,
But bro,
time.
in a long time, I haven't seen something so creepy in a long time. Really well done. The premise itself is crazy. You're in a place that you don't know anyone else. You just see these strangers, and they all believe that there are monsters outside. You don't know whether to believe them or not, but you have seen people getting killed, so you're forced to believe. And they go through this circle of day and night and day and night and trying to figure out how to keep themselves safe. Bro, I was like, why didn't anyone tell me about this show, man? After a really long time, something that has kept me gripped like on this level.
So they can't
blood
just get out of it. They're all stuck in
They
that village.
can't. If they try to
Oh.
leave, they leave and they end up right back on the other side. It's like
Yeah.
they've taken a trip around the
To
world.
find out where you have to go, you have to watch the other show. It's called Two.
Yeah.
Spook.
But by the way, they've done a lot of shows and movies around this. There's another Jesse Eisenberg and what's her name, who is in Handmaid's Tale. There are a couple who go to check out this new house that they want to move into, like move from the city to the
Oh, I
suburbs.
think I've seen some of that. Yeah.
If they see the
I know what
house,
you're
they
talking
they come back and they kind of like it, kind of don't. Their relationship is little dicey at this point. They're still driving and they're trying to figure what to do. And they suddenly go and they realize, like, "Man, yeah, I think we passed this place." Then they take a turn around and come back. And after a while, they pass by the same house. Then they start having their fight of, "Listen, I told you take this right, take this left.
Yeah.
Oh, you have this man's ego. You don't want to listen to directions." They're
Oh,
fighting.
shit.
They go back, they come back to the same thing. I will not tell you what else is there in the movie. You should watch it. Again, creepy
Great
fucking
one.
movie. Because you're like,
And such great detailing now in from these creatures or whatever they are, they never run. They're
Hmm.
always smiling. They never run. So you could be standing across from them and you could run in the opposite direction and escape them. And they'll never run after you. They never run after anyone, but they do crazy shit like they'll try to trick you by playing to your emotions or saying things to you through the window or making sure that the barn door is open so that the animals escape and you're forced to come out. Crazy shit like that. Fuck,
Dude,
I'm still stressed.
there's another film that has a very similar, like what you're describing, very similar vibe. Have you seen It Follows?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. I know what you're talking
so It Follows
The
is
clown.
no,
No,
no.
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 What's another
That
one?
was just It.
Oh, that
So
was just it.
That was it.
that was It. This
That's
is
it. This is It Follows.
It Follows. So, but then It is not following. This is different. So,
And Follow is also a different movie.
But you
Follow
can
is
see how that
Follow.
would be a great sequel name for the clown films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, and
But
now
the
it
thing,
is following.
the reason it reminded me of what you were saying was because in this also the evil, for the lack of a better word, it takes the form of a person in the crowd, and it doesn't run after you, but it's relentless in
It's
its
there.
pursuit. And the
It's
thing
the
is
same
because
speed.
and because it's just anybody in the crowd. So the crazy thing about that movie is that anytime there is a crowd, you are scanning every single
Oh,
extra.
to see who it is.
Yeah.
Sick.
So very, very creepy. Very
But
creepy.
Jose, I can't believe you brought up this From Wala story, because the horror story I had today,
Hmm.
one of
Is
the
on
two,
in this zone.
yeah,
Nice.
it is basically
Take it away.
called Somebody Whistles by My Street at 3:03. Okay, it's so you think of this neighborhood, straight road, cul-de-sac, very suburban, nice houses, everybody is happy, kids can play in the yard, all of that. Like, the ideal suburban family neighborhood, nice cul-de-sac, that sort of vibe. So a family moves in there, and essentially the reason that they moved is because the parents have a son and a daughter. So the daughter Lola, she's born with a breathing impediment, and something wrong with her lungs. So she has to constantly keep going to the hospital and has to breathe through a machine. Now they move to this neighborhood because it is closer to the hospital. Now, as they move to the neighborhood, the girl starts getting better. Suddenly her condition is becoming better to a point where the doctor's like, we don't know how or what has happened, but her entire condition seems to have reversed. And now she is able to breathe without a machine. Kids grow up, and this is from the son's point of view. So essentially, what's happened in this neighborhood is that every night at 3 minutes past 3, you will hear a whistling sound that goes on for about 2 minutes. Now he recounts the time they had moved into this neighborhood. When they came here, the welcoming committee of the neighborhood, welcomed them, introduced them to everybody, and took the parents in private and told them that this is what happens here. At 3:03, you will hear a whistling sound. It will go on for about 2 minutes, and then it will stop. We've all heard it. We all hear it every night. The only thing I request from you is to not go and look at whatever it is that is whistling. It's like those who've done that have actually either died or met with like the worst of fates. He shows newspaper clippings of earlier people who've lived in the house, who've not adhered to the rule, who've gone out and seen it. So he shows clippings, etc. He's like, a lot of them have died, a lot of them have had bad luck through their whole life, and many of them don't die, but the light gets taken out of them. So when you look, you look at a nothing. There is no light inside them. So just continue to live as is. And the flip side to this is that every single person there has had some sort of random luck come to them. Winning a small lottery, getting an unexpected promotion at work, like the girl they used to have a crush on in college, they've ended up meeting them and getting married. Then this guy realizes that his daughter started feeling better the minute they moved here, right? So
Mm.
So he says, okay, the father is a believer. The mom seems like she isn't as much. The kids grow up and they're so used to this, right? That every night this comes. So many a times they would sneak into the kitchen, but they still could never see what was whistling, is because the dad had put blinds all across, which are shut down and locked.
Mm.
So even if you had that urge, you would not be
Wouldn't
able
be
to
able to.
see, because the dad has locked and the key is always with him in his room. Now, because they have done this their whole life, they're so accustomed to it. And by the way, if you don't look, nothing happens to you. You're fine. You hear the sound, and where the kids sleep, they can't even hear it. They have to come down to the kitchen to hear it. So there's nothing. So they've grown up very normal. It's a part of their life. Everybody does it. People who are there are all happy. Everybody, it's great. Suddenly, one of their neighbors, who's 105 years old, by the way, she made it to 105, eventually died because body gave up. So new neighbors moved into that house. So as is the case with any family that moves in, the welcoming committee goes and welcomes them, introduces them, and tells them these things. Now the new tenants were a little apprehensive. Their kid, Holden, also heard about this from the other room. So he's just like, he's one of those kide wala ki, no, I want to find out more, what happens, this, that. But the parents continued, they agreed to whatever was going on. The new tenant, the guy, got a promotion at work 2 days after he's moved in. So, you're also in the space whether should I believe it, not believe it, but wait 1 second. I just got this promotion out of fucking nowhere. So they also start following it. It's been a month or so since they moved in, and now they have to leave town to go somewhere. So they ask this kid's parents if they can leave their child Holden with them.
Ew.
So our original family, who the story is about, they said, yeah, sure, no problem. He can stay with us. New tenants fly out. This kid is now in the same house where there is Lola, the girl who couldn't breathe earlier, her brother Ryan, and now Holden, the new kid. Now they're all at home. You've eaten a nice pasta dinner. Mom has made spaghetti meatballs. They've gotten to watch TV. Yada yada. Parents have gone to sleep, locked everything. The kids are now up in their room. Now, as you would do at any sleepover, they're all sitting and chilling and chatting. Now, Holden brings up this conversation. Now, both these kids, Ryan and Lola, says, we're not supposed to talk about it. He's like, don't you feel inquisitive? Don't you want to know what is it? Who's doing it? It'll be so much fun. Let's do it. Let's see it. He's like, no, we're not supposed to talk about it and we're not supposed to see. So let's just finish talking about it. He's like, what if I tell you I know where your dad keeps the keys? So Ryan's like, what do you mean? He's like, earlier when you were in the washroom, I wanted to go to the toilet. So I went to your parents' room and I saw on like right next to the bed, there's a key hanger in which he hangs the keys. Because the father, after years of staying here, they're all so used to following the rules that you don't feel the need to hide the key, because he knows that his children are never going to come and take the key and open it. So he has kept it on it. So he's like, I've seen where your dad has kept it. Do you want to get it so that we can go and see? So now Ryan, as much as he knows that he shouldn't do this, has little bit of that kida ki, okay, let me just go and see. So he goes to his parents' room and he doesn't see the key there. The whistling starts. So he can now hear the whistling. He said you can hear it in the parents' room. He can't see the keys. And suddenly he can hear clinking. So he turns out Holden made a fool out of him. He went into the room, got the keys, told Ryan that the keys are there so that Ryan goes away so that he can then run and go and open the blinds. So Ryan runs out. He yells because his sister is with this Holden kid, right? So he yells at Lola, shut your eyes, turn around. He runs with his eyes shut towards, tries to stop Holden from opening it, but Holden has opened it at this point. Now, because of so much noise, the parents wake up. They at once realize what is going on. They come out with their eyes shut. The dad asks for Ryan. Ryan, did you open your eyes? He's like, no. He is holding his sister Lola. Lola is facing the other side. Her back is towards the window that has been opened. Right? So the dad almost heaves a sigh of relief. But then he realizes that Holden has seen it and Holden isn't responding. When you touch him, he's shivering. So now all their eyes are shut. The mom has woken up too. She has gotten baseball bats because there is a knock at the door. All their eyes are shut. They all turn around so that they don't see it, but the knocking doesn't stop. So the mom says, let's call the police. Suddenly the knock becomes harder and you can hear the mom's voice from outside saying, let's call the police. Let's call the police. So the dad realizes that at this point in time, no police is going to help or solve any of this shit. The knocking keeps getting harder and harder and harder. You can hear cackling and then banging on the door again. At this point, the entire family is huddled up. They also hold in, but he is just shivering. He is not saying anything at this point. The knocking gets harder, then it stops. Then you can hear it on the window. Then you can hear it at the back door. The knocking keeps going all around the house. At this point in time, they're like, we should go up to the kids' room. As soon as they go up to the kids' room, the knocking becomes harder and harder to a point where you can hear it upstairs and you feel like the door is going to get burst open and something's going to come in. As you come down, the knocking gets softer. There's that little bit of laughter that suddenly comes in. This goes on. They sit huddled till morning, till the first light comes out, is when the knocking stops. They call Holden's parents, who fly back in. Holden hasn't said a word. He hasn't said a word. His eyes are just open. He is absolutely speechless. The dad is at least happy. Ryan and Lola's dad is at least happy that his kids adhered to it. They followed it. And he's sad what happened to Holden, but there's nothing he can do about it. He calls Holden's parents. They take him home. A week later, you see movers and shifters who've come in. And you see these three, the parents and Holden all come out and they just look like a shadow of themselves. Like people who probably not slept for the last month, completely dehydrated, eyes completely black. And that's when the dad realizes, Ryan and Lola's dad realizes that the one thing the committee member had told them, that not everyone dies. Not everyone, but you literally see the light taken out of their body. So these people are just an empty shell right now. They are nothing. They are nothing. And that's where it ends. I found this story on Reddit.
Oh shit.
Very creepy.
Chill. What are you saying? It's kind of in that zone from where you're not supposed to interact or talk to the thing
What do-
outside, and it will
how-
try to talk to you.
What do
Yeah.
you think the metaphor is?
I don't know. It was
Like-
just creepy.
No, as in like, what do you think what does it like? If you had to be like, okay, what would be the moral or the allegory? Like, what is it trying to tell you?
So something Suresh keeps talking about is that a lot of the folk tales and ghost stories are about trying to keep kids from doing crazy things, like don't go next to that well.
Yeah, don't
There's
talk
a
to
witch
people at night.
inside it.
I think don't talk to random people at night.
Yeah, and don't go next
Obedience
to
is a
water
virtue.
bodies anywhere where you can
Yeah.
end up getting killed.
Hmm.
Because this story also has the flip side of everybody who lives there. If they just, all they have to do is from 303 to 305. That's 2 fucking
It's
minutes.
not, yeah, it's not
For
Yeah.
2
past
minutes, you will hear the sound okay, and it'll just go through the entire neighborhood. So it's not like just you're hearing it. It's all the houses on either side.
Oh, it's that
The
watchman who comes
countryside,
with the
you can
danda
hear.
just going, Jaagte raho, just
Huh?
walking by.
As
ये
long
तेरा
as you
नहीं
don't
होता था. I used to live
interact.
by my grandmother's house in Delhi.
Yeah.
This
People are
watchman used
like,
to come just every night banging on the window. जागते, अबे टूट ना, तेरा काम है.
in this film, people are like, तुम लोग का वॉचमैन नहीं है क्या इधर कुछ? नहीं नहीं, हम लोग नहीं रखते वॉचमैन, बहुत थोड़ा डेंजर है,
जरूरत
इधर
नहीं
गोरे लोग के इधर
है.
वॉचमैन का होता है, कुछ नहीं, बज मी इन ब्रो, खत्म.
बस भी है.
Man, great story though. That's freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, and also the thing is that you will have good luck. So it's if only you listen to it for don't do anything about it for those 2 fucking minutes, you will have good luck coming in. So I think that's what they're trying to say, that no matter कितना किया, जब भी किसी के गांड में अगर कुछ खुजली है, there's temptation है, if they want to do
Yeah.
it, they will fucking do it. I
It's
don't
just that, na, don't, if your father has kept something under lock and key, don't open it. You don't want
उंगली
to,
मत कर, उंगली मत कर
you
साले.
don't want to check
यही
out your
है.
dad's hidden stash of things.
Magazines.
It's like that,
Funny
in
as
those,
hell.
there was I think the first season of Fargo,
Huh.
with Billy Bob Thornton.
Thornton, yeah.
That's the, is that the
That's
The
for
series,
no,
the TV series, not
the
the
series.
him and Martin
So-
not the
Freeman.
movie.
So I think his introduction, it's one of the creepiest scenes. You just
Yeah.
go to YouTube and look it up. It's a great scene, very creepy. And basically the scene is this, okay? He's a serial killer, right?
Huh.
And pure evil, manifestation of pure evil, right? And he's in this car and he's driving on this road, and he happens to be driving a little fast. So a rookie cop, okay, puts on his lights and starts tailing him, saying, "Ki stop the car because I want to give you a ticket." So Billy Bob's car comes to a stop and his engine is idling. The cop gets out of his car, comes over to the car and tells him to lower his window. The guy lowers his window and the cop tells him, "Give me your identification." And Billy Bob basically tells him, he just looks at him and he tells him, back in the day, there used to be maps. And on these maps, the places where they didn't know what existed, they would write, "Here be dragons." And the reason they wrote it is because you shouldn't go into places that you can't handle. Now, do you want to see my identification? And it's just the vibe of that evil emanating. Yeah.
That
So
fuck,
then-
तूने पूरा scene याद दिला दिया, bro. Banging it is.
Yeah. It's and
It
yeah,
has
it's-
him and Tom Hanks' son, Colin Hanks, is in it. And
Colin
Colin
Hanks
Hanks,
is the-
he's a single father, so he has all of those things playing on his head. And the entire scene is creepy because of just the delivery, bro.
of the dialogue.
And his eyes, Billy Bob's.
And
Just looking and that fucking oof.
And the thing is, the reason it reminded me of this was it's "Here be dragons." Like the fact that curiosity and exploration is our biggest asset, but it's also
Can also screw you over.
uncertainty
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fear, and yeah. It comes coupled with those things. So yeah, very cool story.
Yeah, I've got a story about
Lovely.
curiosity. I've got
Oh,
a curiosity story.
Take it away, sir.
So this story is about a family of 4. Okay, it's the father's name is Hal, his wife's name is Terry, and he's got 2 sons. The elder son is Dennis, and PT, the young son. Now, Hal and his family are moving to a new house because he just got laid off his job, so they all had to move. And the wife and him actually felt like, Terry felt like they were lucky that he could find another job, even though he was getting paid less. So now they are cleaning the attic of the new house. Okay, and now everything is like in disarray. There's dust everywhere. They're cleaning, and then suddenly his elder son, out of a moldy box in the corner, pulls it out. Now, it's just the horror and fear that Hal experiences the moment he sees that object in his hand. Okay, he almost lets out a scream, but he covers his mouth and then tries to not worry his family, just just coughs And the children don't notice. And his younger son, PT, gets excited. It was like, wow, what is it? And his older son goes, what? Haven't you ever seen a monkey before? Fart brains. And this is the monkey. Now, Hal is scared shitless of this, but he's not trying to let his family get scared. Okay, and his wife is like, "Oh, stop fighting!" And the two kids start fighting over the monkey. He's like, "I want it." No, 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 I want it. And Hal does not hear any of this fighting. Nothing. His eyes are locked on this monkey. He's just staring at it in his older son's hand. And this monkey has this horrible grin. Okay, it's that horrible grin that Hal could never forget. And suddenly there's a gutter outside, so starts making noise because a wind starts rustling through it, and there's this whistling sound. And PT gets scared, and he just goes, "No, no, no, it's just the wind." And he keeps looking at the monkey. The wind can whistle, but can't carry a tune. Just to calm his son down. His uncle used to say that. He suddenly remembers his uncle when he looks at this monkey. And he realizes this new house attic is very similar to the back closet of his mother's house, where Hal and his brother found this same monkey when they were kids. Now, the young son said that, he's trying to go to the monkey and try to, like, and suddenly he gets this weird feeling, PT. PT says, I don't want this. And he says, "Dennis, you can have it." And Dennis is like, "Why? Are you scared of it?" And he starts calling his younger brother a chicken, and he finds the wind-up key behind the monkey. Okay, and he's about to crank the key. And that's when Hal suddenly snaps back to reality and snatches the monkey out of his elder son's hand. And it's almost violent. So the rest of the family just all fall silent. And there's just that wind whistling again. And Hal tries to shrug it off, like, yeah, it still doesn't work. But the elder son is like, "You didn't have to grab it." And he tells his son to shut up. And he's not lost his cool like this with his family ever. So Dennis just goes back to rummaging through all the other junk in the attic. And PT starts getting scared again because there's creaking of the wood in the attic. He says, "I want to go." And Hal, the father, is like, "Okay, we all go down. We're done." His wife protests, but he's like, "No, we're done." Even his wife is taken aback by how short her husband is being. Now they're back down. They're about to start having some breakfast when the phone rings and they get some bad news. It's Hal's younger brother. It turns out that their Aunt Ida has died. So they all pack up and they leave. And it's now nighttime at some motel that they're living in. Both the kids are asleep in their room. The adults are asleep. Sorry, his wife is asleep in the room. But Hal is sitting in the toilet on the edge of the tub, staring at the monkey toy in his hands. And he hated this monkey. Okay, it's this soft, nappy brown fur that the monkey had. And the monkey had this toothless smile. Okay, and if you were to wind the key at the back, the teeth, this toothless smile keeps getting wider, and vampire teeth would come out. And at the same time, these old style brass cymbals start banging with the monkey. Just jang, 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 jang. Just lidless glazed eyes staring at you all the time. And he thought, stupid monkey, stupid clockwork monkey, he thought. And he got startled and he forgot and he just dropped the monkey. And the back key clanged on the floor of the toilet. And for a second, Hal lost it. He was so scared that something was going to happen because so far, the monkey has just been like a broken toy. And then he thinks, you can't be here. Because he threw the monkey down a well when he was 9 years old. So now they head to their aunt's house. And before the funeral, Hal decides to secretly go to that same well. He moves the covering boards and he looks down into the well, expecting to see the monkey. and he sees a face, but it's his own face. It's his reflection. He thought he was going crazy, and he knew that he had thrown it away. And when he had thrown it, the well was dry. Now there was water. The water was back, just like the monkey. And suddenly he remembers the night, the night after he threw the monkey. He was there, and his friend, Johnny Maccabee. That day, Johnny was climbing the tree house that they had gone to hundreds of times. And he was climbing up the tree. And on the last point of that ladder, just before you open the trapdoor and enter the tree house, that little thing, the thing that holds it together, it just broke in his hand. That ring broke in his hand, and he fell 30 feet, and Johnny died. When his aunt told him that news, when at 9, he remembers that when his aunt told him that, he knew it was the monkey's fault. And he had gone and he had thrown that monkey in frustration, fear. He had gone and thrown that monkey down that well. And in that dry well, that monkey just turned in the air. It was like this simian acrobatic somersault that it made, and he locked eyes with the monkey one last time. The sun reflected on those symbols. And the monkey hit the floor on the rocks. And because of that, the mechanism started again. And the monkey started clapping again. And was jang, 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 jang. Is it Johnny Maccabee with his eyes wide doing his own acrobatic somersault? Jang, 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 jang. As he falls through the summer vacation air with the with the splintered ring around his hands, striking the ground with a single bitter snapping sound, with blood flying out his nose and mouth and bright eyes. Is it Johnny Hal or is it you? Bang, jang, jang, jang. Now Hal shut the well with the boards, and he splintered his hands, and he just ran, and he kept running. He fell flat on his face. He got up, he starts running again, and he can still hear the muffled sounds of the monkey. It was like he was hearing it in a dream. Just jang, 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 jang. Who's dead this time? He ran, and finally he got back near his house. He sat down in the swing outside his house, and he started crying. And his uncle came in thinking that, oh, he's crying for his friend. But he was just crying, just happy, out of just like he's let that monkey go. And that night, their cat got run over by a car. Just splat, and just this blood and guts everywhere. And it was the auntie's cat, and she started crying so much. And for some reason, Hal was happy that this was a good enough price to pay. Okay, it's only the cat, not his brother, not his uncle, not his aunt. It's just the cat. Now he comes back to the present. Okay, and now he's standing at that well. He can still hear the phantom echo of the symbols. Jang, 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 jang. Who's dead, Hal? Is it Terry? Is it Dennis? Is it PT? I know he's your favorite. Is it him? Jang, 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 jang. Now he gets home. He opens the door, and the first words that come out of his mouth are just pure instinct. He goes, "Put that down." PT had the monkey in his hand. And he just screamed, and PT got scared, and he dropped the monkey. And Hal is scared again, okay, it'll fall, and it'll just, once those symbols hit, somebody in his house is going to die. His elder son calls him schizophrenic. So he gets angry, and he grabs his elder son by the scruff of his shirt, and he's like, "Shut up, you don't know what's happening." And again, the family is just shocked. What is wrong with this guy? And then he apologizes to his elder son, and he decides, I'm going to spend more time with my elder son because we just need to. And that's when he looks back at the monkey, and it's just those eyes are taunting him that you are never going to have this opportunity. He remembers when he found that monkey in his mother's house. Their father was in the merchant navy. Okay. This is years ago. He was 6 years old. Him and his brother used to play around, and his mother was always at work. So they had a babysitter in the house, but the two brothers, him, Hal, and his younger brother, Bill, used to play around, and they had this one room, which had like a rabbit hole entrance. So you have to like crawl through. So the children used to love it. And it had all the stuff that his father had collected from the merchant navy. And one day, right in the back, he opened a box, and that's where he had found this monkey. And the key turned very easily that day, but it didn't clap. So he was like, oh, it's broken. So he brought it back to his room. And he went to sleep. And at like 3 o'clock in the night, suddenly it starts banging. Goes jang, 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 jang. And he's scared. And it just kept banging. Okay. He didn't know what to do. He was trying to like, oh, he'll try to put something in between the cymbals so that the cymbals stop banging. But then before he could do that, it stopped, exposing its carnivore teeth and then going back to its horrible smile. The next morning, he's getting ready to school, and he knows that he should put the monkey back. He doesn't like the monkey. He's getting this weird, creepy feeling from the monkey. So he decides to put it back, but then his mother gives him this news that puts all of this at the back of his mind. Their babysitter had died. The mother wouldn't tell them how, so the two boys went and found a newspaper, and they found this one headline which said, "Two killed in apartment shootout." The babysitter's mother and her boyfriend had a fight over who was going to pick up Chinese takeout food, and the man got angry and just shot both of them. Now, Hal wanted to get rid of the monkey, but these thoughts had just gone out of his mind, and he'd forgotten. He didn't associate the monkey with this. And the brother decided to keep the monkey in the shared bedroom shelf. For 2 years, nothing happened. And then one day, the monkey clapped again, and his mother died of an embolism. So they had to move to their aunt's house, and that's where that well was. So Hal has decided, I have to get rid of this monkey. I cannot have my children die. I cannot do this. So he decides, I'm going to get rid of the monkey. So he tells his younger son, PT, okay, go get a bag and some heavy rocks. We're going to your auntie's house right now. There's a lake next to the auntie's house. They're going to get rid of the monkey once and for all. And now PT, he's getting rocks into the back of his car, and he tells PT to pick up a bag from the back. So while he's running to the back to get a bag, a car almost runs PT over, because at that same time he saw the cymbals moving. And just before the cymbals could hit, he put a stick in between them. And PT almost got hit by the car. So he says, this is too dangerous. All his suspicions are correct. So this guy takes PT, they drive to auntie's house, and he puts the monkey in the bag, ties rocks around it, and he tells PT to stand at the shore. And he starts taking his uncle's rowboat and going into the lake, into the center of the lake. And then suddenly he sees PT losing it. He's screaming, and he's trying to point to the sky. And that's when Hal looks up, and the lake has gotten weird. It's just the water has gone crazy. There's rain clouds coming on top of it. And for some reason, for 1 second, he thought the clouds were in the shape of a monkey face. And he decides to throw the monkey. And just before that bag hits water, he could hear the muffled cymbal sound. The boat starts shaking. The boat is almost capsized, but this guy keeps going. He somehow manages, like, even though the water has grown rougher, he manages to get to safety. Next day, the headline reads, "Hundreds of dead fish found floating on Crystal Lake." 8 years later, PT is in their new house. Their life has been great. PT is cleaning his room out, going to college. And in the left corner of his closet, he sees the monkey toy again. And those symbols just slightly move. That's where the story ends.
Nice.
They should have just put a massive like rock in the middle of it so it just stays
Double-sided
stuck.
tape.
हाँ
That's फेविस्टिक
Excited.
लेके
बीच में से कुछ डाल के रख देना पहले, तो ऐसे ही रहेगा, तो कोई
After
पकड़
you
के खड़ा
mentioned
है
the
monkey.
stick thing, I was like double-sided tape. वो
कुछ तो
तो
डाल
or
के
maybe a
रखना चाहिए.
marshmallow.
But if the monkey can make it out of the water or out of from
Yeah,
like
वो कर
the
सकता
bottom
है.
of a lake, I think he can get rid
So
of
it's not
anything.
actually the instrument because तू उसको वो रख बंद कर देगा तो उसका ड्रम बजाएगा फिर वहां से मर जाएगा बेंचो
ए मेरे को वेल से निकाला तेरा पूरा फैमिली खलास समझे ना.
अरे लेकिन
चलो भाई
मंकी
चलो
आपका वो किधर है आपका थाली किधर Again, for
So this,
those of you
uh,
listening to us on Spotify or any of the audio platforms, please come on YouTube to see visual representation of all our
That must
laughter.
have been very weird
yeah,
for people just listening.
They
They're
must be
like,
wondering
why are
that
they
these
making
guys
monkey
are
sounds?
yeah. This is a cute monkey though. I would keep him as a pet.
Adar, did you
Shit.
generate that on AI or like?
Yeah,
No,
AI
no,
like
this
it.
is not generated by AI. This is a short story written, published in 1980 in the Gallery magazine. And this guy has been slowly making progress as a writer. So he writes short stories. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but we have a good platform, so we should promote new talent. This guy's called Stephen King. I don't know if you guys have heard of him.
Ah,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah.
अच्छा
Ask him if he's
नया
interested
बंदा है.
in doing work with TIS, na? He can collect research material for other ghost stories that we
But
can.
people from the royal family are doing it's very nice. What
Yeah.
about his
And
son,
they are
Mr.
also doing
Prince?
podcasts, bloody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Tricky.
So
Kautuk,
yeah. So
तुझ्याकडे आहे का कुछ?
yeah. I so basically I have a bunch of stories and they all have a theme. Okay, and the theme is basically all of these stories take place in hospitals. Okay, or hospices, and they all happen to have doctors or nurses involved. Now, the reason for this is very simple.
Kautuk, to be honest, were you looking for ghost stories or some other stories? क्योंकि दूसरे ने मैं 4 स्टोरी लेके आया हूँ चारों नर्सिस के ऊपर है. Actually मैं www डॉट कुछ और खुल
डॉक्टर
गया
का
अभी
नाम
मैं.
है जॉनी सिंस.
Hmm.
I was just going to
फेमस
give
डॉक्टर
you
है वो.
I was just going to give you an explanation because I knew this exact thing would happen.
Ah.
So, uh, so the reason, like we've been talking about this, right, during this podcast, ki like the horror in horror stories also like comes from somewhere, right? It's not just like one, like there's like one layer of reason why it's there. And so for me, there are certain professions and places where you're more likely to find these things because of the nature of the work, and hospitals, nurses, etc., they are right up there with the thing because you're dealing with death on a daily basis, right? So, and you would imagine that the people who deal with death on a daily basis, they are hardened and do not succumb to these kind of cheap thrills
Yeah.
that we do. But at least some of these people have experienced some very creepy, weird stuff. So I'll start with this one. So the story
अच्छा
takes place.
मैं पॉपकॉर्न लेके बैठा है रेडी.
क्या बात है? What a perfect brand integration. It's not. We're not getting paid for this podcast. Please, if you are a sponsor, do write in the comments below. Okay, so here's what happens. This nurse had written this story, and she basically said that, you know, on a day-to-day basis, through the emergency room, you see terrible things that are happening in the world that land up in your life, right? And you have to not only face up to it, deal with it, but you have to help, you know, the people who are involved. And some of the cases are just bizarre, terrible cases, such as this one. So what had happened in this case was that there was a pimp who had he had basically gotten into an argument with a sex worker who used to work for him. And the argument had escalated, and this guy was a violent man with a short temper. And to teach this woman a lesson, he had thrown kerosene upon her and set her on fire.
Oh shit.
But this lady was made like she was up to it. Like what she did was this: she immediately held him in a bear hug. Right now, both of them are lit on fire. and they were eventually brought into the emergency room. When they're brought in, the burns are terrible. The smell of singed flesh has suddenly, it's all around in this room. Now they're being treated, and they're being treated on two beds that are in the same room, right? Um, Now what happens is that at some point during the night, obviously the the damage done to the woman was far greater, and so she succumbs. Now this nurse says the creepy part began after she died, because half an hour after she had passed away, this guy, through the gauze that was covering his face, began screaming, "Get this bitch out of my room! Get her out of my room!" And so the nurse says that I can't tell whether this was like he was recalling what had happened to him, or whether there was something else that was happening in that room. And she says that the smell of that burnt flesh, it was all around the thing when he was screaming this. So yeah, that was story number 1.
ये ट्रू
Uh,
स्टोरी है, मतलब ऐसे
yeah,
हाँ.
these are true
from
stories.
actual occurrences.
Actual occurrences. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is very similarish to what Adar said. And here's what the story is. So this is a story from a nurse who had recently, she had started work in a new hospital, and the hospital had a pediatric ward, and she was given the night shift duty in this pediatric ward. And so she's new at the job, had experience working in different hospitals across her career, but new at this place. So she's been told ki, you have to do the rounds, make sure that all the kids are fine, and then report back to the matron who was handling the thing, who would also oversee the thing. So this nurse, does many nights and things are fine. But then this one particular night, something very different happens. So she goes from bed to bed, room to room, and she checks on all the kids, and all the kids are perfectly fine that night. But as she's passing by this common area, she sees that there is a faucet, a null that has been left running, and water is flowing. And this strikes her as very odd, because she had passed by this common area, and at that point everything was still. So she switches off the faucet, goes to the matron, and narrates the incidents of the night. She says everything is perfectly fine, except for this one odd thing that had happened. We should probably get it checked out. The faucet had turned on and water was flowing. Now, when she says this, the matron loses all color from her face. And this woman is taken aback, and she says, What happened? Is everything okay?" The matron says, "I don't know what to tell you, but every single time that this faucet has been seen switched on and water has been flowing, someone has died in this ward." Now, the nurse, you know, is new here, and she can't, she doesn't know what this is. And she says, "But that's impossible, because I've checked on all the kids, they are perfectly stable." But later that night, a kid does pass away. And the kid was perfectly fine. Now, that is story number 2. The third story is this. So, what happens here is we are now in a hospice care. Okay. and then it's not a hospice actually. It's like a a place for elderly people, like just to kind of see out their time. And there's a man who is in this sort of elderly care situation, and this man never speaks. He doesn't say anything to anybody. He keeps extremely quiet, keeps to himself. The people who have been there very long, they all say that this guy has never spoken. He's never said a word. They don't know whether he is mute, but they said that we've never heard him say anything. Now, what happens is that a nurse has recently again joined this place, and she's taking care of these elderly people. And she forms like, she notices this man, and she notices that this man is different from all the others, right? Because he didn't say anything. He was the only person in the entire in the entire hospice who wouldn't speak. And the other thing was that this guy would always look at her, and he would do this weird like laughing thing like that. No sound would come out. He would just laugh, right? And he would laugh every time, she would like give him his medicines, like give him any kind of like care or medical attention. He would respond with laughter. Now, she always assumed, because she didn't know better, that this person was, it was just a way of him sort of reciprocating, saying ki, thank you, like it's a positive interaction. She would find out that this man used to be an army man back in the day. He had fought in a war. And what had happened was that he had gone missing one day. He had gone AWOL. His the troops in his regiment did not know where he was. He would appear 7 years later wearing the exact same uniform that he had gone missing in. No one could account for his whereabouts. Nobody knew what had happened to him. He had reappeared in the same this thing, in the same uniform, and he couldn't speak. Now he was in this elderly care thing. Nobody knew any more details of his life. No one had come to visit him. Whether he had family, whether they cared, nobody knew. Now, what happens is that at one point, his health starts failing. And they take him to a hospital, and the condition is very bad. Right? It's very, very bad. He's showing all the symptoms and signs of passing away. His breath has become irregular. His heartbeat is slowing. He's become cold and pale, and he's losing blood. And everyone assumes that his time is up. Now, they have kept him in a room where they know that the end is near. They're monitoring him. But suddenly, a nurse who's doing the rounds is startled because this man who they had deemed to be dying is standing at the doorway. He's standing straight, bolt upright, with his back straight, staring at her. And he's staring just off to the side. So she sees him, and he's looking just off to the side, and he's nodding. And then he says, "Yes, sir." And then he dies. And the only words they heard him say were, "Yes, sir."
Shit.
And it came out like in a voice, like a hoarse voice that he hadn't used in years. A voice that he could have used all this time.
Nuts.
Damn.
So that's story number 3. And the final story is this. This this story. All right. So here's what happens. Nurse working in hospital, And it's this one particular evening when this one nurse, she is doing the rounds, and she walks into a urinal, a bathroom. And when she walks into the bathroom, she startles another nurse who's out there, right? The woman gets startled, and the second nurse who was there in the bathroom, she says, oh, thank God it's you. I get very creeped out in this particular bathroom. So the first nurse asks her, why is that? What happened? She says, well, it's a very odd and strange story, and I don't usually like telling people this. You shouldn't have your impressions of the hospital changed by my experiences. But the first nurse is very curious. She says, no, you must tell me, because it clearly something seems to have moved you a lot. What happened? So the second nurse tells her this story. She says that a while back, like many years back, she was working in the hospital, and they had this young man who had come in. He had a pretty routine, he had a pretty major surgery, but it wasn't like something that he was stable. But oddly and strangely, at one point in the night, this guy had gotten up from his bed, gone to the bathroom, and for some strange and inexplicable reason, he had pulled out one of the main tubes that was in his arm. He had just yanked it out, a central line. He had just yanked it. And when he did it, there was blood everywhere. It was one of the most gruesome scenes, and he had died in that bathroom. They had tried to save him, they tried to bandage him, they tried to do everything, but they couldn't. And the guy had bled out in that bathroom. And it was a horrible scene, a terrible mess, right? And the nurse had walked into that bathroom, onto that scene, right? And she could never forget it. It was like it was like a massacre. Now, she says, here's where it got really, really scary. After this guy passes away, just a few weeks later, they had an elderly woman check into the hospital. Again, a very routine medical case, a very routine medical procedure, but she had a central line. Now, when she's in this room where this young man had stayed, she asked the nurse very innocuously, the same nurse, she asks her that, did someone die in this room? And the nurse says, well, it's a hospital. People pass away all the time. She says, no, there's a young man. A young man, did he die in this room? And the nurse is a little creeped out. And she says, well, we did have a young man die here a while back. So the old lady tells her, well, he keeps coming in this room. Now, the nurse dismisses it. She says, ma'am, please try to get as much rest as you can. I assure you, there is nobody except the doctors and me who are visiting you in this room. The old woman is disbelieving. That night, the nurses rush into the room because her vitals are all over the place, because this woman has yanked the central line out of her hand. There's blood everywhere. And when the nurses rush in, this old lady looks at them, and she says, he kept telling me to do it.
I love these.
Yeah.
He kept
Yeah.
telling me to do it type ones also.
Yeah.
There's always that.
Hey!
Hey.
It's
I
like
think that was him.
it reminded me of Talk to Me. Talk to Me. Was it Talk to Me?
Ah.
Dekha hai picture?
No,
हाँ,
Which one is
not
this?
yet.
I think it's a great
Oh,
movie for you to
Australian.
watch when your wife and daughter are both not at home, you're alone.
Thank you so much. I always
It's,
look forward
it's
to
such a fun
recommendations.
movie, bro. It's such a fun movie. You'll be like, oh fuck, it's like Mean Girls. It's fun.
It's made by a
I
couple of
don't believe
YouTubers, by the
anything
way.
you're saying.
It's made by two Australian YouTubers who make comedy videos.
Yeah.
That's true. That part is true.
I'm gonna use Google to my advantage here, sir.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah.
shit, man.
Rose, any ghost stories you heard on your recent podcast that we've not heard that you can tell us about?
Oh
Because
shit.
anyone that comes to your
That
mind?
sticks. That
No,
sticks with you.
nothing major. But on the last episode, this lady called us, and she's been calling us quite often. She's become almost like a regular. She told us a story about they went to some place in Lonavala.
Hmm.
Okay, her and her son, and they were staying there. This is just on the one that we did yesterday. They were staying there. मैं short में बताएगा. I'm not very great at telling stories, but I'm great at pretending to listen. But so they go to Lonavala, her and her son, and they get this sort of like place which is a little larger than a normal holiday stay or whatever. And they're in different parts of this villa. And in the night, the son comes over to her room, knocks on the door, and says, "Ma, what are you doing in this room? You come with me. We'll go. I think we shouldn't be sleeping so far apart. So let's sleep in my room." So she says, "No, no, 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 forget it. It's not a big deal. It's okay. It's fine. Blah, blah. You go, you go, you go." And apparently comes a couple of times. I don't know if I'm remembering the details correctly. It comes a couple of times, comes to check on her. She refuses, blah, blah, blah. Next morning, she gets up and she says, what is wrong with you? Like you're all sleeping peacefully here and you're behaving like a child. You want to switch rooms and all. And he says, "I did not come to your room last night." And she says, "You
Yes.
were at my room multiple times." And here's the clincher. He says, "You came to my room
Oh
and
no.
asked me to leave with you."
Shit.
That is the last ghost stream I'm doing. वो खत्म इसके बाद.
Nice.
And then
Thank you.
suddenly the
Nice.
dad burst out says, surprise! It was
Surprise,
me.
वो मैं ही
मैं
था.
तेरे रूम में आके मम्मी
पहले
बन रहा
साड़ी में
था
आके
तेरे रूम में
पहले
Oh,
साड़ी में
man,
आके
these-
फिर शॉर्ट्स में आके
But
No,
this
no,
is
no.
I love these. What a good story.
yeah.
No, and
I
also
like
creepy
that the
because the person
Very
who
good
it
story.
happened to has called and said कि it happened to me. So it's not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
like
yeah.
हम लोग ने Reddit पे
yeah.
पढ़ा या इधर पढ़ा.
Another
If they
one
had
where,
a healthy relationship and they would have gone with each other, they would have been dead.
who
Yeah, if they're
knows?
just like यहाँ पे be like, Mom, I
One
know. Please go away, Mom. That saved him.
one interpretation to that was that whatever the entity or whatever it was trying to pull them away from the rooms to save them. So it
So
could
they're
be the
already
other way
dead.
around as well. I don't know.
Oh.
They called on the show, so I don't know.
Oh
But
no.
but you know this thing of when you have family or you have a close friend tell you a story like this, that's the worst.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
deep
Hmm.
down inside, I don't know, but I mean, me personally, at least, I don't believe it. I know that but I'm also aware of how your mind plays tricks on you and what extent it can go to and you know where it can go. So when a friend or somebody who's really close to you tells you this and they have no reason to lie
Hmm.
at all,
Hmm.
not even as a joke, you know, like it's different when one of your buddies is messy on there and they're always pranking or something. That's a different story when you have, but when it's a regular person who has no interest in fooling anyone, and it just makes no sense. So a friend of mine told me about this story where he's a purser, so they do a lot of these
Hmm.
trips. And one night in Germany, they stopped in Germany. They
Dude,
stopped.
I know this exact story, and this has traveled between because my wife used to work for airlines. So this story has been running around these airline circles for a while.
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
This
exactly.
is
That's
a
what he told me
Germany. Yeah, this
also.
is a hotel in
We
Germany.
probably know
Yes.
the same person also.
Yeah.
Anyway, so goes to Germany. He's really tired, and so he asks for a smoking room. He said, "Yeah, no problem. Give him a smoking room." He's sleeping on that room in that room, and it looks quite like one of those like old type of hotels, not meant too many people around. He's sleeping and really tired, unwinding, done with the day. There's a giant mirror right across the bed. from where he is. He goes to sleep and he's passing out. And as he's passing out, he sees a little kid run through his room.
Oh no.
But yeah, fuck, it was very creepy. Well, the creepy part for me was not even the story. The creepy part for me was who it was coming from and how he was very serious about it. He was not joking. It was not a joke to him. So he sees a kid run through the room, but not in the room. It's in the mirror. And it runs, you know how you would run off camera, off frame, like off to the mirror.
And that
So he
trickling away of that, just
वो नहीं बताया उसने, but it would get got to this point where the kid runs off. So in that moment, he was not sure whether he's just waking up out of a dream or whatever. He got up, put all the lights on, this that, and if I recall, then he tries to go back to sleep, and then again he sees the kid running. This time he sees the kid running in the room, and runs past the door, like where to get out. The door is locked. Kid runs past the door. Kid disappears. And so he got up, put the lights on, went and opened the door. And the moment he opened the door, there was this elderly couple standing
Oh
right in front of the
shit.
door. And they told him, they said, "You can't fucking be here. You need to get out of here," or whatever. So he was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what?" And he said, whatever, close the door. And he went to call reception or whatever and say that, "Bro, what the fuck is going on? I'm going through all these things." And then there's somebody at the door, and so the reception said, "We don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody. There's nobody at the door. Check." And she goes and checks. There's nobody outside. Long corridor. Some elderly couple has suddenly showed up and started threatening him. Then he goes down to speak to them. One of them admits that many people in that particular room have also experienced this kid running through the place. That. And this was the extent of the story. Nothing happened after that. He was freaked out. That. And but the creepy part was him telling me this story at all. This is somebody I know.
fuck.
And
And
he's not
people,
like one of those people who's like, "Arey, ghosts are everywhere." He also doesn't believe.
Yeah.
But he is saying he experiences. Now I don't know what to make of this.
but gotta give it to the hotel. They're still selling that room, and people are
That one
still
room.
buying
हरामी
it. He's
लोग.
like,
It's
sir,
like
ये
हमारा
room के
bottom
लिए
line
आपको
effect नहीं होना चाहिए.
25% discount on room service, please. Sir,
और
laundry
वो
is
दादा
free.
दादी जो आएंगे उनको बात मत
Yes.
सुनना.
अगर आपको बच्चे पसंद है, बच्चे भी है ये रूम में.
But
Smoking
see,
room, child friendly.
Child friendly,
and elderly
old person friendly, elderly friendly.
Yeah.
because we're talking about this now, I quickly want to say this one story. Because it comes from the thing of, like you don't know when your friend, wife, family member, whoever, some of them are actually telling or behaving in a certain way because they've actually felt it, and you don't know who's pranking you.
Yeah,
Because when it
yeah.
comes to ghosts, right? It's that little,
How do you prove
if
it?
you're
There's no way to
serious or
prove
you're
anything.
pranking.
Exactly.
Okay, so this story is about this couple. Their name is Ben and Lynn. Now, Ben and Lynn have been dating for 6 years, married for 11. Now, great relationship. He has never seen any sort of red flags, any issues, any problems. His girlfriend is a very sorted, straightforward, no nonsense kind of person. She does not really believe in ghosts or anything. She's not somebody who likes to prank, none of that. In fact, only in the beginning of the relationship, just to sort of, because if your partner likes horror movies, then you want to watch it for them because, it'll make them.
Yeah.
So Lynn watches The Shining with Ben, and she's so scared that halfway through it, she stops watching. So that is a relationship where he's fully into horror, but she really isn't that much. Now, 11 months of having been married, one morning he wakes up, nothing unusual. Usually what he does, goes to the kitchen, he's making his coffee, he's a little bit late, right? This time he goes down, he's making his coffee, and sometimes you just get this weird feeling. You can't really explain it, but it just suddenly sort of happens to you. So he gets this weird feeling and he just looks to the right. And at the end of the corridor, towards the door, when your wall curves, he can see his wife just peeking at him.
Oh shit.
So you can only see her eyes and you can see her hair. The rest of the body is not seen. She's just peeking at him. This is in the morning. He's just looking at her, wondering, what the fuck? He's like, Lynn, what are you? You're creeping me out. And then he walks towards her, but she scurries across to the living room laughing, and she just runs away like that.
The fuck?
So he goes towards the door, he turns around, he looks into the living room, and she's not there. And because he's getting late, he doesn't wait to say anything. As he's shutting the door, he's like, Lynn, that was fucking creepy, but I love you. And he shuts the door. He doesn't get a love you back. He just hears her cackling behind the door. Like, he finds it odd. He's like, what? Okay, maybe, she's sort of now getting into this pranking sort of situation. She wants to show me that she's interested in horror, whatever. He just lets it pass, goes, he forgets about it by lunch, comes back home, and she's behaving normal, like nothing happened. He has some other work shit, so he really doesn't end up discussing what happened in the morning. They just sort of watch TV, eat dinner, and it just sort of passes off. He goes to sleep, she goes to sleep. He wakes up in the middle of the night. He's thirsty. The bottle next to him is empty. So he's like, I have to go to the kitchen to get the water. So he goes to the kitchen. He fills a bottle. He's sort of standing there. He has a sip. And again, that weird sort of feeling comes upon him that somebody is watching. So he turns around. There's nobody there. He turns to this side. There's nobody there. Sees the corridor. He doesn't see anybody. So he's like, shit, mind's playing tricks with me. He looks down to take a sip of water and his wife is under, looking upwards at him. So he shrieks, the glass falls out of his hand. He runs behind. He's like, Lynn, what the fuck? She turns around on her fours, runs.
Oh no.
Just runs. And he spends 2 seconds there just thinking, wait, what the fuck is going on? Am I imagining this? Did I just see my wife run on all fours? And she, again, as she runs by, there's that sound that she makes. It's fucking weird, right? So he doesn't immediately go up. He takes a second. He's like, 1 second, I have to process this for a second. He waits for about 5-10 minutes. She doesn't come back. Very slowly, he makes his way up to the room. He's a little like weirded out by this whole thing. He opens the door. He looks at the bed. She's turned around and sleeping or pretending to sleep. He doesn't know. He calls out to her once, twice. Lynn. She doesn't respond. He walks slowly towards her, sort of tries to peep over to see, all the while expecting that she's just going to turn around, right? He sees she looks sound asleep. So he lies down next to her. And once you've seen that happen, you're not going to get sleep easily. So he is continuously sort of turning in bed, keep looking over to the left-hand side to see whether she's looking at him, whether she's awake, what's going on. Tries to stay awake, eventually obviously passes out. Next morning, wakes up, meets her in the kitchen. They're on the kitchen island having coffee. He's like, Lynn, by the way, what the fuck was that about? Why would you do that last night? It's so fucking creepy. Let me tell you, you've been creeping me out the last couple of days. Is this a new prank? Is this something you're doing? She's just looking down at her coffee glass like this. Almost like a very frumpy, little angry. Then looks up, smiles, walks over, puts her arms around him. And she's like, but you creep me out all the time. So I guess we're even now. So he doesn't know what to make of the statement. So he's just like, okay, whatever. Now he's a little pissed off. So he doesn't want to have this conversation anymore. He leaves. He leaves for work. But throughout the journey in the car, when he's at work, he constantly has the feeling that somebody is looking. He's driving, he looks in the rear view, he just imagining his wife is going to see him. Sees in the office, same thing. Comes back home, she's absolutely fine, like nothing has happened. And for the next 2 weeks, nothing happens. She's not creeping at him, she's not peering towards him, he doesn't get those sensations. He's like, okay, I guess it was a phase, it was just a prank she wanted to do, it's done, over, cool. It's a weekend, she's going out to meet her friends. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to kick back, watch the game, and chill out. Opens up his beer, is watching the game. At about 9 p.m. at night, goes up to his shower. Now they have that bathtub which has a curtain. So he's showering, right? Pura muh pe sabun wabun hai. At one point in time, he sort of clears his eyes, looks straight, and through the curtain, you just see her face.
Are yaar.
Smiling and looking at her with her hair wet, just her face.
Oh.
Again, this guy's like, wait, this shit is fucking happening again. Like what?
Also, he's in the shower. Why is her head wet?
No, पानी आ रहा है ना ऊपर से.
अच्छा वहां पे अंदर है उसकी.
So she's just there, just her head comes in, right? So they don't talk, they're just looking at each other. She just has this smile on her face. He doesn't know what to fucking do. She's just like, Lynn, what? She doesn't say anything, takes her head out of the shower. Now you see the shower curtain, but you can see silhouette, right? Behind the curtain. So he sees the silhouette sort of go backwards like that. Okay. Nearing the bathroom door. Soon as it goes out of the bathroom door, he jumps out, shuts the door, locks it, and he's inside. Because he's like, okay, this is now going beyond, because I don't know what she is up to or what is going on. At this point, this guy is angry, he's annoyed, and he's scared. Because he's like, this is my wife. I know her. She's never done this. What is this all of a sudden that's happened to me? So he this time gets angry, bangs at the door, and tells Lynn, this is fucking enough. I've had it. You have to stop this. And she can almost hear the shrieking in his voice, like he's had it. You can't do this. You can't do this day in and day out. It was okay once, twice, but this has gone on for way too fucking long. He can't hear anything from the other side. You know, sometimes when you're yelling and some person is outside, you sort of stop yelling to see if they will say something or if there is any sort of reaction. Nothing. He's quiet. It's pin drop silence outside. Only sound you can hear is the shower ka tip, tip, tip. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, I'm not going to spend another night just fucking frightened sitting here in the bathroom, right? What to do? So he looks down, you know, the little gap you have between the door and the floor. So he sort of looks through that, all the while expecting to see her there peering through, right? He looks, he can't see anything. He's like, I'm not going to spend the night in the bathroom. I'm going to muster up the courage and fucking open the door. He opens the door expecting her to be there. She's not. It's dark. Right? He comes out and he can hear like slight moaning. And then moaning gets louder. He can hear a little bit of like that slight tiny cackling going on. Now he's able to see where it's coming from. It's coming from their closet. He walks towards it because he's like, it's my wife. I'm not going to just leave and fucking run away, right? So he goes to the closet. He opens the closet. You see her inside, holding herself like that, with the biggest grin, just cackling like, you know, a small child has done something really, really fun or something really, really bad that she wasn't supposed to do. And she's just holding herself and cackling. And there's a rancid fucking smell coming out of this. He doesn't know what to do. Fucking fight or flight, jumps out, not wearing anything, runs down, takes the car keys, gets into the car and fucks off to his brother's house. He's like, wait, this is now gone beyond. Like, that I cannot take. Goes to his brother's house. His brother and his wife live together. His brother Chris and his wife, I forget, Angie. He goes to his house, late at night, bangs on the door, explains to them what is going on. They're also like, listen, are you guys fighting? What is happening? He's like, no, I just need to spend the night here. They're like, okay, cool. He's crashing on their couch, all the while just sensing that his wife, Lynn, is looking at him. Any corner he looks at, he's like, she's there. She's not. He just feels it, feels it, feels it. He's looking all over. At one point, he just looks out of the window and there she is against the fucking window.
Oh no.
At this point, he screams. He starts screaming. He's like, Lynn, what the fuck are you doing here? You have to stop doing this. It's enough. His brother and Bhabhi come running out, wondering what is happening. She's not there. So at this point, even the brother and the sister, Bhabhi, are a little like, are you okay mentally? Because he's seeming even more affected by this, right? He's saying Lynn is there. There's no Lynn. There was no Lynn at the door. Nothing at all. Goes to sleep. Wakes up the next morning. His Bhabhi is in the kitchen. So he goes up to her. It's like, hi, good morning. She's like, listen, Lynn was here. He's like, what do you mean Lynn was here? She said, yeah, she came here this morning. She was outside and she didn't look good. She looked awful. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. So he's like, what did she say? He's like, no, I just asked her. I said, Lynn, how are you? She said, I'm fine. Is Ben here? Yes. Is he asleep? She said, yes. So the Bhabhi asked, should I wake him up? Lynn's like, no, let him sleep. Just tell him I was here. And she's like, whatever's going on between, the Bhabhi tells Ben, whatever's going on between you two, you need to figure it out because she didn't seem okay. And you've been saying all this shit. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to believe. Just go and sort it out. So he's like, okay, I need to sort it out, but I should talk to somebody close to Lynn, somebody who might know her. He takes out his phone, and on his phone are regular messages from Lynn telling him stuff like, I miss you. Why did you leave? Please come home. I love you. This woman would write long ass essays to tell him to get bread. But after this situation has happened, she's sending one line messages like a very concerned, heartbroken wife. He's not able to understand what is happening. This is painting him like the bad person, like he has done something wrong and he has left the house. So he decides to talk to Lynn's mother. Now, Lynn's mother was never a fan of Ben. She wasn't really happy about Ben and Lynn getting married also. He calls her up. She's this very snooty type of person. He calls her up and he tries to explain to her what Lynn is doing. He's like, can you tell me why she's behaving like this? Has she ever done this before? And the mother seems very off in the way she's talking. She's like, listen, I don't know how you want me to help you. Please just seek whatever professional help you need to and get it done. Don't get me involved. She's like, but professional help, like what happens? She's like, listen, I can't help you. Just get professional help. He hangs up. She's not answering the phone after this. He's like, 1 second. It's stuck in his head that professional help, like never in their relationship did it ever come across that she had any sort of mental issue, any problem, any past history, none of that. He didn't know what to do. That evening, his brother comes home. He's still staying at his brother's house. And they decide that, listen, we need to put an end to this. So the brother and Bhabhi, the brother says, listen, I'll come with you, Ben. So at least there's another person. I'll come with you. But we need to confront her and we need to sort this out. They said, okay. So Ben and Chris both go back to Ben's house. They reach the house. The door is ajar. It's not shut. They walk in. They open the door. As soon as they open the door, there is a horrible smell. This smell it just hits you hard. And you immediately want to gag, wondering what is this smell? This house was absolutely fine. There was never something like this. What has happened? They start walking up, all the while finding it really tough to breathe. They go up on one side, they see the guest bedroom untouched, as is, not a wrinkle on the bed sheet, nothing. They turn around, they look at the master bedroom where they were. That's the last place he had seen her when he ran out of the bathroom. As they walk towards it, the smell gets more and more. They're trying to figure out where she might be. Now, Ben doesn't want to go into the fucking bathroom because the last time he was there, that image just keeps coming in front of his eyes. He doesn't want to open the closet because that last image of her standing there comes to her mind. But they're trying to figure out where she is. They look around, they can't find her anywhere. Suddenly you hear a little bit of cackling, faint cackling again. They turn around, can't see. They hear it again. This time he realizes that it's coming from somewhere below. So he bends down and looks under the bed. And you can see her eyes sort of like little eye, the light that catches the eye a little bit, you see a little bit of it. That's when he realizes that she is under the bed, curled up, big grin on her face. So he's calling out to her. She's not responding. He tries to hold her. As he touches her, something's wet. So he looks around, it's blood. He doesn't know what is going on. At this point in time, Chris was also looking around in the room, said, Ben, you have to see this. He's like, what? Ben gets up, they open the closet, and at the bottom of the closet, they find eyeballs of different sizes. So there's some that are kids' eyeballs, some might be a grown adult, a grown female. They find a whole bunch of eyeballs. You hear the cackling again. He goes down. He's like, listen, I want to help you. As he goes down, she comes back up. She has a big shard of glass in her hand that she's holding tightly, cackling and smiling, blood dripping down her hands. Ben and Chris both decide that they need to run. They both run. Chris runs out first. Ben runs out after. And he's like, listen, I don't know what is going on. We have to call the cops. They run out of the house, immediately call the cops. They're outside. She doesn't come running back after them. They can hear the cackling, but she doesn't come running out. The cops show up in some time. They go in. He's waiting outside, right? And he's like, okay, now the cops will come out with her. The cops search the entire house. She is nowhere. She's nowhere. There used to be like a jhula in their backyard that they would sit at. As Ben goes in, he sees that she is not anywhere, but only that jhula is still sort of moving as if somebody was just sitting on it. He can't find her. The cops are questioning. He has no idea what to do. He doesn't want to trouble Chris and his wife anymore, so he goes to a motel. He's sitting there wondering where it's been 6 hours since this happened, since the cops came, they couldn't find her. And suddenly he gets a message from an unknown number. And the message says, I found you. And you see a picture that is attached, and it's a very grainy picture. He looks at that picture carefully, and that's when he realizes that he can forget anything, but he can't forget his wife's eyes. So it's just a picture of her eyes saying, I found you. That's it. And from that day on, he can't help but move around without continuously getting the feeling that no matter what he's doing, he's being watched. Finn.
Matt Yank. This reminds me of
Shit,
some
dude.
things me and my wife have been going through, but it's very different. Shit,
She's there behind, bro.
Yeah, she's behind you.
fuck.
Must.
Oh,
Fuck.
the hell?
We did a long one, bro. Jose फट रही है
Yeah.
कि ठीक है.
I told you this whole listening to ghost stories 2 times in a week is extremely unhealthy.
While
I'm
you're
very
alone.
I'm very susceptible to, like, if I hear a really crazy story or something mad happens, it shows up in my dreams.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
terrible idea to do this at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and dude, guess what? Before sitting, I thought I'll just run through the story. So instead of reading, I thought I'll tell Nikita the story. So I have called her right before we sat. She is here, and I start telling her this. My wife is peeking at me story, and she's like, "1 second, you're going to sit on the podcast, but I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be alone inside. I don't want to fucking listen to this shit."
Hilarious.
Abe, Thakur, while I think you were telling the story, or some one story was going on. So I'm in my living room right now, and it's in darkness except for this one source of light. And my wife has literally come in this room, and she has stepped out of the shadows. और
Oh,
मेरी
shit.
हट गई है. Okay, and the reason is because like एक क्रोसिन का strip था पीछे मेरे. So she's standing there just doing.
Also, the worst thing is because they know the podcast is going on, so they are extra quiet. And now
Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
headphones, so you don't
They're sneaking.
realize. Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Nice one. Jose, क्या
Tricky.
बाकी what's going on next? Halloween पे कुछ कर रहे हैं कि नहीं?
हो गया ना Halloween? Is it not done?
आएगा.
It's
My
never
kids'
done.
school did some crazy Halloween stuff.
Oh yeah,
now.
they start 1 week before actual one.
They
ना,
do
because
jaldi
bro,
nipta
Diwali
lete
and
hain.
Halloween is coming together this time.
Mm.
See, where I am now in my life, for me, the horror stories are about like back pain that has not gone for more than 1
Unresolved.
week. Unresolved pain.
Unresolved back pain. It's just a ghost coming to your house. Please, thoda Iodex. Iodex, please.
Fucking hilarious.
Mazedar. But bro, I think it's a good one. We did a nice long one. Jose, thank you
Good
so
one.
much once
Some
again
mad stories.
for
Damn,
joining
bro.
us, bro.
Screw you guys for telling me these stories. I hate you.
Bro,
Don't
for
tell- I
next
don't even-
stream, we are going to call and be different people and then give you some more ghost stories.
अभी मैं ये stories अपने इस पे बताएगा.
हाँ, तो ये
There
तो
was
अपना
a
इनका
the
गेम ही तो
dog
अपना
said
ये है.
woof.
फिर तन्मय को बोलेंगे इस पे रिएक्ट कर, फिर हम लोग यही करके लेटेंट पे बोलेंगे, फिर इस पे क्विजिंग कर लेंगे और फिर उसके बाद अगर रिलेशनशिप बनी तो रिलेशनशिप. क्या बात है?
लास्ट में इसका रील बनाने का.
रील बनाएंगे.
हाँ.
मजेदार.
Amazing.
Awesome,
Great
bro.
session, man. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me, man.
Thank you
मजा आ
so
गया.
much for coming as always. And
Thank you.
hopefully next time we want to get you for something that's not ghost stories, guys. I think बहुत हो
you.
गया, हम लोग होजे को पूरा निचोड़ लिए.
Yeah, maybe we can
भूत
discuss
से.
death or old age something.
Yeah.
Finally, we did old age also with you. We did
We
age.
did that
Dude,
last
you
time.
know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
You
That
know
was
what
a
we
good one.
should
That was a
do?
really good one.
You know what we should do with Jose? We should do like real reacts, like just
Yeah.
get the best,
Yeah.
the premium, best content.
Oh God. Oh
Let's do
God.
that.
Mazedar. Awesome. Okay, guys,
Mazé.
that was it from this episode of the Internet Said So. We were discussing ghost stories. This was the Halloween special. And thank you so much for joining us. Happy Diwali, because by the time this episode comes out, Diwali is going to be in a couple of weeks. So happy Diwali, happy New
Oh, yeah.
Year. Please be careful while bursting crackers. Happy Gudi Padwa, Bhau Beej, और क्या क्या धनतेरस, सब कुछ.
अरे ऐसे तो फिर तू बोलते
अभी
रहेगा.
Christmas
हैप्पी
भी आ रहा
होली
है.
भी बोल देना. वो नेक्स्ट ईयर आने
अबे
वाला
वो ये जब भी एपिसोड आएगा और इसके बाद वाला जो आएगा उसके बीच में ये सब है भाई. तो
हाँ.
सबको बहुत बहुत खुशी.
Wishing everything and everyone.
This is a national holiday traffic jam.
Super.
Awesome.
Okay,
Chalo.
guys, make sure you
Nice.
like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, it's goodbye. Take care. Tata. Salamesh. I'm actually quite surprised that Baba's internet at 40,000 feet was
Better than Sai service.
better than Sai service.
Yeah, better than my internet.